GM, everyone. How are things? Juan, Nikita, hello to you guys first.
Yeah, doing good, doing good. We're at team offsite right now, and so yeah, it's good to. It's things are going really well. We've got a bunch of us together. Some people we haven't seen in a long time. So yeah, it's really good. It's really good to be here with the whole team together.
Yeah, great to be at another episode after September. It's exciting to be a bit back to normal, and we are in the retreat right now, but it's much better weather. It's hot here where we are, not winter cold last September. So yeah, getting through this.
We also got a special guest today, Taylor Monahan, aka Tay Vano. Hi, Tay.
Hey, hey, how's it going?
Nice to have you on. Ex MetaMask, that's all I'm gonna say. Security expert for sure. And I'm pretty excited about this one because it doesn't get much better than this. And I know you and Nikita, you've talked quite some time ago and you like chatting with each other. So this should be like a very fun episode. And Nikita, before we get things rolling, you guys just teased it like you have like a team event going around, but you're gonna be staying at the venue or at least at the country. What are the next plans for Chain Patrol and the next conferences you guys are traveling to?
Yeah, I mean, ETH Denver was quite good this year. We had a good. It was it was a little bit more quiet than the other years, but a lot of the good people still came out to ETH Denver, and so that was met a lot of builders, especially a dark mode was really good. Hosted by Seal, there was a lot of solid people. Met a lot of people from MetaMask there too. That was nice to see like that. A lot of the support team came out as well. That was cool. And yeah, honestly, like I'm honestly surprised about how many people came out to dark mode, like, because considering the rest of the conference was a little bit quieter, like everybody else that came out was really great to see. Like lots of good talks there, lots of interesting learnings for sure. I hope they do another dark mode soon. And yeah, ECC is the next one we have coming up, so we'll see if the vibes have recovered by then or not.
Yeah, I was just talking to that about Juan with that. Like, if we're not going to France, I guess at least myself, I'm having a hard time going to France right now for a crypto conference. Roscoe invited me to go over there too, and I was like, I'm gonna have a second thought for this. So yeah, it's cool that you guys still see builders out there and you still like. I honestly love it that when you're going to conferences that you compare to the timeline. When you're scrolling the timeline, I think Tay, you're also a lot on X as I am, and you can agree that if you're just scrolling the timeline, you're just getting the sentiment of like crypto is about to die like tomorrow, right?
100%. We're all gonna die. The industry is cooked. Yeah, it's over, guys. We can go home now, for sure.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Completely.
And you can sentiment that something is over when like a Zach XBT announcement post gets like millions in views and like literally any voice in the space shared his tweet and shared some thoughts about, hey, it's gonna be Binance, hey, it's gonna be Polymarket, hey, it's gonna be this and that. And it turns out Zach exposed that Axiom kind of was doing not Axiom themselves, but BDs of them was doing like insider trading with KOL related wallets, which basically no one could see besides the dashboard in Axiom. So they used that dashboard to connect the dots basically to these guys who like to show meme coins and stuff and just, yeah, pre-trade everything on the market. And Tay, what's your sentiment around that? Like, honestly, like when you see the timeline and you have probably seen the post from people like related to Axiom, they were all like, it's not us. It's like free money if your bet on Axiom is not involved. And then it turns out, oh, damn, we got a bad apple in our side.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked at the announcement post. Zach teases things every once in a while, and it's usually to like force himself to like tweet it out and like do it. None of them have blown up. When I saw the numbers on that tweet, I was like, oh God. And then obviously the Polymarket volume was insane, and it just like took on a life of its own. I don't know. Axiom, I'm not super familiar. I don't live deeply in that world, but I don't know. It's not super surprising, right? Like when you have products, you have teams, you have data, you have money on the table. it's not good enough to just like trust that everyone is going to be fine. And that's both for like internal controls and external controls. And if you're a company and you're building in the space and you have data, you have people trading, you have stuff like that, and then you have no controls, no insight into like what's going on, you're not monitoring for any insider trading, you're not listening, then yeah, this is always going to happen. And it's not, I mean, let's be real, it's not just a Web3 thing, really not uniquely Web3 at all, actually. But you know, the sort of TradFi has very strict rules around this, and they have monitoring in place, and you have employee contracts, and you have all these things internally and externally that you know, keep people in line. And obviously this industry is still learning how to do that.
I got a question for Nikita and Tay on this one. Like, if an external hacker gets like data, we call it like he's like exfiltrating data. It's like a data breach, right? But if it's like monetized from internal visibility, how do we call that?
I mean, it's basically the same. Let's be real. It's just, and you know, like I think people do. Well, okay, so people definitely in the space underestimate the risk of like internal data and internal people. We've seen this time and time again. Coinbase last year, right? That was also an insider situation where they were selling sort of data in batches, but they were also like sort of giving this data on demand to people. And then those threat actors were doing stuff with it. The reality is like insiders are a threat to your business, to your reputation, to your brand, to everything. And it ends up not being that different than an external hacker. The ways that you control and prevent it from happening are just a little bit different. You can't just like lock down the doors because obviously they're inside already.
Yeah, I think it's also like the financial incentives around this. Like, you know, if somebody's getting paid like, you know, $20 an hour at best, and you know, they're getting offered huge amounts of money, like this, the insider threat will happen, right? Like we also see this with, you know, exchanges and traditional financial systems, but also we're seeing it with, you know, all the DNS compromises that have been happening and people's websites getting hacked and all of this kind of stuff happening as well, right? And so where, you know, you think your site, your DNS is secure, but if it's not hosted in one of the better, you know, one of the more secure kind of providers that has the right like kind of DNS set up in place, you know, a support person can just be bribed and change your, like basically swap out your site entirely. And so that's been happening a lot too, right? And so insider threat is an issue absolutely everywhere. And one thing I just want to mention on that too, I think it was kind of clever of Zach to announce this without specifying who it is. Like I saw people saying, you know, like there's probably many people right now scrambling thinking like, is this us? And so I feel like there'll be more investigations incoming where people may have scrambled because of those news and maybe we're trying to hide something, or, you know, it's kind of like smoking out a lot of the, you know, inside any kind of insiders at other orgs too, just because it was Axiom this time. And I'm sure the same thing is happening at a bunch of other orgs. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see which next investigation.
Imagine if there were like firms coming out and did like a press release on this, like this is us, oh god, this is us, and then actually like Axiom, who the guys were like, we are not included, so it's not us, like for sure, you can bet money on it, they are actually the guys who are involved.
I mean, it was funny because Meteora came out very strongly. And their statement was interesting because they didn't just say like, this isn't us. They actually were like, look, it's been a year since we really kind of screwed up pretty badly. We've changed things. We've put controls in place. We're aware of this. We're operating differently today. And then it also sounds like in reaction to the speculation and to Zach's post, they actually like went back through to like make really damn sure, which I think is incredible. And then Kalshi too, I don't know if it just happened to be luck on the timing because it's wild, but they also were like, by the way, we also catch insider traders, like don't even. And all the Kalshi bots were like, yeah, fuck around, find out. Like, and it's like that has never been a thing that's been top of their mind, like ever. Zach tweets though, and everyone tells on themselves.
Yeah, I think it was a good kind of like forcing function to really get everybody to like, oh, we should pay attention to this for at least a little while, you know, and get something improved. The other thing too, being an Axiom, I think somebody on their team even said, "Oh, this is like definitely not us," which is like I think something that is unfortunate. We'll see what happens with it. We'll see what happens with them. So some controversial stuff going on there.
Yeah, I wanna jump in on the attacker profile basically. Like Tay, Nikita, you have seen like a lot of external attacks happening. Is it actually like more difficult when it's an insider? Like the attack profile is completely different, right? It's probably a lot harder to catch that compared to an outside attack.
Yeah, it's so it depends on a lot of things. I think there's like sort of two different veins of thinking about it. One is sort of like Axiom, right? In the sense that they legitimately had no clue that this was happening. The question is like, why didn't they know? And especially after Zach tweeted, you know, while the other companies were like, oh crap, this might be us. And then running around scrambling, making sure, Axiom had seems to have had a lot of confidence that they should not have had. Why is that? And the answer is usually because they're relying on like trust. They're relying on assumptions that are sort of formed in maybe like the early days of the team when you're, you know, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people. But as companies grow, as teams grow, you can't just give everyone access to everything anymore. You have to have controls. You have to have monitoring on the access. You have to have, you know, like insider trading as a risk for a platform like Axiom. So you should have dashboards and monitoring to detect if weird things are happening, and then especially track down if that thing that happened was a result of insider trading from you, right? I think that in the Axiom case, I just don't think that this was like a thing that they ever even thought about trying to stop. And so of course they're not able to stop it. When you look at like Coinbase though, or any really like serious organization that's scaled up, there's a lot that you can do. And it's very similar to like external, you know, protecting yourself from external threats. It's just like the exact mechanisms are different. There's a lot more monitoring, is a lot more detecting like anomalous behavior, right? Like why is this support agent who typically answers 20 tickets a day suddenly doing lookups for 500 user accounts, right? Why did like the data flow, why did the number of screenshots they're taking, like all these things, why is this suddenly like jumping up? And then obviously like if you have a person who has their account hacked, right? Like they're social engineered, they're defrauded, etc. If you investigate that and they say, bro, someone called me and they knew everything about me, right? If you chase that down, okay, who looked at their account? Let's just be sure, right? It takes 2 seconds. And if you chase it down and you do so more than once of the same, you know, like the same profiles keep popping up, you know, it's worth asking those questions and taking a deeper look. And all these things, just like external threats, right? All these things come together to create, to increase your chances of like detecting the threat, and then obviously responding sooner rather than later, which is always ideal with these things.
Yeah, and I think also like we gotta keep in mind like a lot of these companies like are startups. They're a bit older startups now, but you know the issue is that in startup mentality, you just want to move fast at all like almost at like all costs, and security is always a bit like feels like it gets in the way of that. Whether it's like putting the right like how you manage your passwords, how you manage like who has access to what account, and very often people want to poke holes in their own internal systems to make things move a little bit faster, right? And so I think there's a lot of balance in how like you can put in security systems in place that feel there will be a little bit of friction. They will not be nearly as fast as just, everybody has one account and they all just share it. But you can limit how much the team feels like they have to fight the security tools. And I think those like anomaly and like observations are a great part of it too, because there it's more of an observation, that, like Tay was saying, you have somebody just doing something out of the ordinary. You didn't have to change anything about their behavior, but you just have an alert when they're doing something unusual. And so that doesn't change their workflow in any way, but it gives you kind of that protection and the logging in place that you need to investigate. So yeah, insider threats are difficult because like you assume a lot of trust with your team, but as your org matures, that's something you need to really start about.
Okay, Nikita was cutting a bit off for me there, but yeah. Tay, maybe for like a recap of things a team could do when they are watching this, or if they ever come across this recording. So what could actually like help prevent these things happening, like role-based access or like audit logs, or what would you give them as like a takeaway from this kind of disaster?
Yeah, so for me, I prioritize knowing actually rather than like hard mechanisms. If there's like one thing that a team should do or can do, I would say like stay very aware, stay very on top of it, and focus on having the logging and the monitoring and the communications internally to just like be able to get the information sooner rather than later. Obviously, depending on what the exact threat is, then you're going to need to like respond to it. But I think, in a lot of cases, when you don't know that it's a threat, you can't even start to mitigate the risk or remediate the threat, or, and then it tends to get so much worse. And so, yeah, things like having logging, monitoring, just talking to people, talking to your team, like being aware of what's being said on socials, talking to victims, right? So if people are losing their money, right, they're being defrauded, they're being hacked, talk to them. What happened? How did this go down? What role did our product play? It's not necessarily that your product or your people are at fault, but if you don't have the information, then you're never going to be able to like notice the patterns. You're never going to be able to dive deeper, and then you're definitely never going to be able to put the actual controls in place. Usually in these cases, it is controls, right? So it's locking down access. It's putting additional monitoring on the things. Like, again, like Zach, I think actually said this in a thread. Why did this BD bro have full unlimited access to like all the data? Another question worth asking is, why did Axiom have all this data, right? Why did they have such fine-tuned user IDs, right? With then all their wallets and all their stuff. And yeah, why was it fine that people were just poking around at it, let alone having conversations and then trading on it, right? All those things could have been detected far before Zach got involved, but especially once there were rumors out there, you would expect them to be able to see this. And the fact that they didn't is, it's quite telling, but I think a lot of people in this space are in the same boat.
Nikita, would you agree on that?
I don't know if there's anything too much else to add. It's really like you need the right monitoring systems in place.
Yep.
Like Tay was saying, like how do you make sure that you're kind of aware of the situation? I definitely think like follow most of the security researchers in the space. I think that's just a good practice in general. Like follow Zach, but also follow, Tay's own account, a bunch of others in the space like Sam, others. There's just so much you can find out and get ahead of by just like paying a little bit of attention to the socials. So if you have like whoever's on your ops team or your security team, they should be aware of this. There's just so much value of just like almost all the major hacks that happen now. I'm learning of them on like Twitter before like anywhere else. So it's like, just pay attention there. It's like such a valuable resource. Yeah, there's also obviously tools and different systems you can use for like monitoring this kind of stuff. But yeah, you just need to be proactive in the first place about it.
Okay, so before we pivot to AI, we need to name like the cultural problem we have with underneath this when it comes to crypto, because Peter Steinberger, the Austrian developer of OpenClaw, he recently said in an interview with I think Lex Friedman was it, where he said like he was never like harassed as he was by the crypto community when he did his launch, which is like pretty surprising and pretty telling to a lot of people, because he was saying like his Discord was spammed like every 20 minutes with claim fees or why don't you launch a token, please launch a token, etc. And he also said that he basically underestimated the level which crypto guys and girls are going to pursue their dream of like a token or whatever they wanted to have launched by him. Nikita, Taylor, this is like a cultural thing, I guess. And Nikita, for you especially, when we talk about the name change that he did, because he renamed himself on I think Claudebot, and that was too close to Claude, and then he had to rename for like legal purposes to OpenClaw. Like, you do the brand protection thing. Usually when it comes to name changes, is there any guidance you can give like teams when they are rebranding or changing their stuff to not fall into the trap of getting like their community fished by exploiting this kind of event?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that are happening there. Like, one, it made sense why they had to rebrand. Like, right, they got the legal notices, all this kind of stuff. Changing anything related to your brand is always it always can lead to confusion. I think also part of it is it's interesting because even like if you launch a token related to like the older name, like tokens are just names, and so if you rebrand, it can piss people off as well. So there's like kind of an interesting bit there. Mainly, like, I mean, we've seen this with a number of orgs that we work with, is that make sure that you have to monitor for everything related to your old brand and your new brand as well, basically. It's also interesting to see how fast certain scammers are. For example, like even when like, I don't know, like MetaMask did their recent rebrand, we've seen for like maybe 5 to 6 days, all the scammers were still using the old sites. And then basically it took them about 6 days to change all their templates to mostly be using the new site. So like when you're looking for these things and you're trying to find the impersonations, it's like you need to still monitor for the old threats and the new ones. There's still plenty of ones used for like other companies we work with that are like, they're using versions of the site from like a year or 2 ago. So it's actually like even keeping like screenshots of this or using like Wayback Machine and finding older versions of a site is actually very useful for finding impersonations. But yeah, related to this, like I think we haven't seen as many maybe Claude impersonators or OpenClaw now, but we are seeing actually the agents themselves starting to phish each other as well, or trying to trick each other, or trying to trick their own users. So that's something I think that's very interesting, because the same things that a user is susceptible to, so are all of these agents, because they behave like regular people. And so we're seeing agents get hacked, and then a person's machine gets hacked. I think it's good that people are buying their own Mac Minis and putting those separately, but if you're giving that Mac Mini still your access to your like email token and all of these other areas, it's almost like it's running on your own computer anyway. So yeah, just interesting world we live in, where your agent doing your work for you is going to get phished, and then that you won't even realize, and that will lead to you being now phished if you give it too much access to your own systems.
Tay, you had your fair share with malware stuff on the timeline. Do you want to give like a pep talk for the people with agents running on their personal machines?
Okay, so I don't know why. Like, I feel like kind of insane that people don't realize this, but the first thing is, you don't want the agent on your normal daily driver device, because it's literally like an open door. It's not a back door. It is an open front door, and also like all the windows. There are so many ways in. You can basically like injection prompt. You can trick the agent into doing anything. All the different like skills and different plugins and different things that are going on. They are just, so many of them are being targeted by like threat actors to deliver malware, that's assuming that you don't like accidentally screw up because your front door is wide open first. Things do change to a certain extent if you put it like on a separate device, like on a Mac Mini. However, not that much, not as much as you might hope, right? It depends on what is on that Mac Mini. And so the reason ultimately that you don't want them on your personal device is that your personal device is logged into your Google and your X and your Telegram, and it has your files, and it has your Google Drive, it has all your photos, it has your iCloud, right? On and on and on. If your Mac Mini also is logged into all these things and also has all this information, then it's not that different than being on your personal device. And with how much things are synced these days, yeah, like if you really want to play with this stuff, it's not just a matter of getting a Mac Mini and then logging into all your accounts on the Mac Mini. That's not the way to go. You need to actually like set up like completely segregated accounts for specifically that. And specifically, you want to keep in mind, like, what's the worst case scenario if somehow malware gets on this machine? What's going to happen? And if the answer is the hackers are going to take over every single account that you own, get access to your company, get access to your work, get access to your iCloud, then you're going to have a really bad time. If the answer is, oh, they get access to some throwaway accounts that really don't have that much data, that are kept segregated, that I don't put valuable company user data in, right? All these things, then you're going to have a better time if you get racked. And I think people are just frankly aren't thinking about this. I am glad to see that there is a conversation and awareness around this. But we are definitely like, we are running so fast with everything in AI that it's very, very high risk, and people should be very, very aware.
Yeah, I think just on that, like I've seen people setting up, separated accounts where they will create something like, a read-only email access. You can do this with like Google's API, for example, if you want your bot to be able to read your emails, but then them download on your behalf, delete your
Nikita, you were cutting out a bit. The Wi-Fi, the damn public Wi-Fi in Mexico.
Infrastructure is not there yet.
I think you're back. You can continue your point, I guess.
No, I was going to say that the email, it contains auth codes, right? You receive login links, you receive, authentication codes. So like even read-only access is kind of dangerous if you think about it, especially if your machine is not compromised in the way where it's immediately hacked and they're just trying to steal everything, but they're kind of just silently sitting there watching. This is how we see, we've seen all the Twitter and Discord account compromises in the past, right? Where they just steal your, they don't actually hack your your password, but they just like steal your auth session. And so that's something I can see happening to these agents as well.
Yeah, also for Telegram, I think like Tay talked about this on another podcast that I recently catched up on. You talked about all the compromises that are happening on Telegram, and you might not even think about like the way that your Telegram account getting compromised, especially if you're like a high figure person, is like spreading to contacts that you have like a mutual contacts with, etc., and they are just like spreading their stuff, just contacting everyone, and eventually they will hit someone with these kind of like fake Zoom meetings or whatever they are trying to pull off. Tay, maybe you can give a short recap for the listeners who aren't aware of what's going on there.
Yeah, so specifically we've been watching like Lazarus DPRK do these fake Zoom calls where they then land like a nasty malware on your computer, like full rat. Like they are literally sitting there watching you and everything that you do. It's terrifying. There are other threat actors that do the exact same thing though. It's just that their malware is like slightly less nasty, just slightly. Like you're still gonna get totally wrecked though. So it doesn't actually help. But the main thing that they have learned, and they have just gone to town on it, is they want one thing, right? They want to steal your money. They want your MetaMask. They want your crypto, right? Now they want two things. They want your money and they want your Telegram. And the reason for this is because instead of like having to create a brand new Telegram and like impersonate people and then like cold DM people, and then hopefully like that's already so many red flags if you get a cold DM, right? Instead of doing that, they realized if I take over an existing Telegram account, there is so much conversation history, and I can just re-up old conversations. And so when they get their hands on a BD person or someone who's like at conferences, VCs, they love VCs, obviously. But what they do is they'll go through like thousands of messages, and some of them are just like from years ago, you met at a conference once, you had like a little chat, maybe you sent them a deck, last year when you were raising your round, didn't ever go anywhere or whatever. Then all of a sudden this person reaches back out to you and is like, hey, we haven't talked in a while. Like, would love to see what you're up to. Let's get on a call. And it's completely disarming, right? And especially if it's someone that you kind of look up to in the space, someone who you can imagine having a partnership with, VCs, obviously, then your red flag detection mechanisms, you're very bad at detecting the red flags, which means that then their success rate on getting you on the call, dropping the malware, and getting you to basically be fully compromised, the rates are crazy. The amount of money they're stealing is insane. They're just going so hard. And one thing that we've been telling people to do, we used to be a bit more chill on this. We used to let people try to encourage them to say something publicly and warn people, but we weren't super firm on it because people are embarrassed and they're victims too, right? They've just been hacked. Usually their wallets have been hacked as well. It's a bit painful to be like, by the way, now go put your personal story for the world to see, especially knowing that crypto Twitter is going to call them stupid and all sorts of other names, right? Lately, we've been much more firm on if this happens to you and they take your Telegram account or your X account or whatever, you have to go and be very public and just beat that drum on every single platform that you have a presence on. Tell your friends, because if you don't, they will wreck your friends. And that is actually a way worse position to be in. If you think that you're saving your reputation or your pride by not saying anything, let me tell you, you're so wrong, because when your friend that you know in real life shows up and is like, wait, your Telegram got taken over, you didn't say anything, and I just got millions of dollars stolen from me? What? And you knew? It's really, really, really bad. So definitely be aware that people can old contacts, they can have their account hacked and message you. But also if it does happen to you, please just get out there and beat that drum. And try to save people. It's actually quite effective at getting people to just immediately know. And thus it's so much harder for the scammers to get any
It's
money.
also a gold mine, basically. If you have personal chat logs from people, just throw them into an AI and come up with a story, right? For these guys, make something up, change the behavior from 1 month ago a little bit and spin up another story and then let them have join the call. Is that do you think that usually when they are on the call or invited to join the call, is it usually too late by then? The steps that follow, with the, hey, you need to update your Zoom or whatever is following, then they installing the malware. Is that usually where people are already too locked in to get out?
Yeah, it's hard. It's usually if people join the call, there hasn't been anything up until that point that sort of set off their red flags. And the calls are really good these days. I think people think it's oh, just another phishing site, just another thing. It's going to download an EXE. I'm smarter than that. I would never install a random EXE from Zoom. It's actually not like that at all. They've completely cloned. Well, they have a Zoom one and a Teams one and a Google one, but they've completely cloned it. It's perfect. It's not janky at all. And it basically pretends that the audio doesn't work. And so it says that you need to update your audio SDK or whatever. And then it downloads like a little scriptlet, like an Apple script or like a little command in terminal that you have to run. And it's just not, there's so many actual real video audio issues that happen with these platforms that it's very hard for people, like even if they know not to install an exe, this tends to bypass them. And so yeah, your best bet is to not even be in a position to get on that call. But if you do, just remember that like don't ever install anything from a call. Don't run any scripts. Don't do anything that a call says. Like run away. The calls are really, really, really bad these days.
Nikita, would you say it's best practice maybe to be in charge of the calls and do the meetings yourself? Like that is one thing that I can think about. Like if someone reaches out to you and says like, hey, we haven't met in a while or we haven't spoken in a while, just be the person who creates the link so you know you are safe on that end, I guess.
Yeah, that definitely helps a ton, and we like that is our recommendation. What we have seen these scammers do quite often is that they will say, oh, I'm having trouble joining the call, and then they send you, their own link, and so that's where they try and get you, right? And so right away, even if like everybody can join a regular Google Meet or a Zoom link 99.999% of the time. So like just be very suspicious if they say they can't join the call. But yeah, you controlling the link definitely helps with this. Now there's two legitimate parties trying to meet. I guess it's kind of like, which is most of the time, that kind of puts you in a weird situation if you both want to control it. So but especially
Nikita didn't control the
Mexico
Wi-Fi.
No, I'll finish his thought though. Yeah, I've been asked this before, and I say we will cross the bridge when two legitimate people like won't meet and are like, my Google link. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, guys. We're not there yet. Okay. When crypto Twitter starts being like, man, like me and a VC just got in a fight because we refused to use each other's legit links. Like, I think that's way solvable. I think it's way harder to solve the current state of things, though.
We're gonna need to get escrow agents for the.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, great. Juan, have you received any of these sketchy invites? Like you at the growth position at Chain Patrol, I think you probably had your fair share at people contacting you with stuff like that.
All the time. I mean, I think I'm able right now to recognize when I see a message like that because I receive it like so often. Their most operandi is like as they reflected, like basically they reach out to you because you have a previous conversation. It's easily to click on that link because maybe it's, in my case, maybe it's like a lead that I wanted to speak in the past and I was never able to reach out to him. So they show up with a calendar link. Of course, it's like a really appealing way to get into a call, right? So definitely happened to me in the past. But right now I have received so many that it's quite easy to know where those messages are. Mostly because they send everything in one phrase, in one message all together. Like they don't usually say like one message like, hey, it has been a long time, let's connect. And then they send you the link in another message. They usually send everything compacted in one message. And I assume they probably copy paste all of these only by changing the name. Like, hey Juan, hey Nikita, hey Wimi. They only change that and they make like a fast copy paste, or they use a tool to make it even faster. So yeah, definitely need to keep an eye out on these. I haven't received any fake Google Meet yet. It was right now that I had seen like fake Zoom and fake Teams, but fake Meet is something that I haven't come across yet. Most of the times when I see a Meet meeting, I assume that is much more safer than a Zoom or a Google Teams or a Microsoft Teams meeting. But in general, I always keep an eye out. There is also other platforms that we have seen, people outside Teams and Zoom, where you can also get fish. So if it's a special platform, also be suspicious about that.
You know what's the most annoying thing? If you have like multiple Gmails connected and then you want to join a meet and then it also like defaults to the one address that's your default address and you always have to pick the address or you join. I can't tell you how much or how often I joined with my clear name in Web3 meetings, which were like, oh, you can see my real name. That's awesome. I love it.
It's
Thank
a
you,
real
Google.
doxing issue, yeah.
Which is like, probably I should have used like another browser instance with my Web3 stuff kept off, but I didn't. So it's my fault at the end, and I'm doxxed with the face and all that. But it's kind of annoying. Okay, before we like wrap it later on, I think I wanted to talk about AI in general, like accelerating. Nikita, it's like a reoccurring theme on this spaces like every week. It's something new. And I read on the timeline somewhere today that to keep up with AI, you gotta be unemployed. Because we thought crypto is fast, like especially in 2021, 2022, the cycles were just like moving so fast it was hard to keep up. But like nowadays it's with AI, it's just insanity. Like every model is like releasing every new week with a new version and stuff like that. Perplexity launched Computer today or yesterday, which is like an orchestration system where you can have agents running in parallel and executing tasks for you, which is kind of like Claude, like in a browser version, not exactly, but kind of similar. And also today, Nano Banana 2 dropped by Google, which is something that falls back to us with the security side of things in Web3, especially for videos and images. Tay, I think that like for a normal person, I imagine we guys in the Web3 security space, at least I can speak for me, like I have difficulties telling if videos or images are AI. And I can only imagine for people who are outside of this tech bubble, who see stuff like this, take it for granted and say like, hey, I just saw this on the news, or I saw this crazy video the other day. Did you see it? Like, how do we even come to sense that what we see is real anymore, or is it after all?
Dude, it's wild. And I'm pretty good, I think. I'd like to think I'm pretty good. But my daughter, every once in a while, will catch me. Because, like, you know how Twitter... Okay, so, side story. I work very hard to keep my Twitter a healthy mix of Web3 insanity, AI insanity, security stuff, and very adorable animal videos for the sanity. Okay, this is like a thing that I actively go and like and bookmark and share animal videos to keep it in my feed. But every once in a while, like the AI animals will show up. And my daughter is actually way better at detecting them than I am. She's like, that's not real. It's like there's something, and like when I look, I can like, I'm like, oh yeah, actually, yeah. It's like it's just off a little bit. But it's gonna be really weird. And I think that I don't know, it's kind of sad to think about, but basically you have to you either have to be just so tuned in that you can detect it, or you just have to assume by default, similar to how we do in Web3 generally, assume by default that everything is fake, which is like a really depressing way to live a lot of the times. But until we have like proper tools and things that we can do, that's the best. That's the best that I've got.
I want to hear a take from you guys, because personally my thought is that written content, especially like timeline-based Twitter stuff, it will decrease in value because you're not really knowing who you're talking to anymore. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like, do you think that, personally, I do think that video content still is like the upper hand when it comes to authenticity and like proving that you're human. Because on X, like especially in the crypto space with all the anonymous accounts or pseudonym accounts, it's really hard to tell if it's a bot posting or like a farm posting. We also had Nikita Beer take down like a guy who run like 21 or 23 accounts today, which is like insane. Any thoughts from you guys? Like, do you think written
Yeah.
content will die is probably like an exaggeration, but
I think the top level accounts where it's important for them to maintain their authenticity will actually be doing okay. I've seen a lot of people try to do a lot of, AI posted content, and some of it kind of works, but I think a lot of it comes down to like people follow others for like their unique insight and also their unique kind of like style of posting, and you can recognize it. if eventually you can fully clone that, maybe we'll probably get there soon. Then it starts to become a trickier question. I think for now, for a while, as long as you stay authentic posting, like those posts will still be good. What I do see is then the Twitter replies, at least for me, have become absolute. Like I almost never open the replies anymore, because this first like 4 or 5 are almost always bots, even though like there has been work done to try and help there. Yeah, the replies have definitely become plagued, and I think there needs to be like significantly more work done there.
Juan, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to differentiate between AI videos and how these are going to make like a difference. I agree with Nikita that I think that big accounts already have a name established by themselves, already have something that makes people want to see their post, and that is not going to change so easily. Like, I don't see, we were talking about Zach's XPT before. His account, even if he continues doing the way that he's doing content, everyone will keep on reading that, because he's someone that is validated in the industry, that a lot of people are actually expecting, a lot of people are actually gambling on Polymarket and Kalshi on things that he says. So definitely this will keep on happening, and I would say we are actually going to see bigger volume with bigger creators right now in terms of gambling, what that happens here. So I think probably AI will make things easier if it's not doing it right now for creating posts for these big accounts. But of course, being personalizable, being able to have like a big brand yourself when it comes to your social media presence, I think that's like a game changer that AI can do it so easily. We have seen, I think, a lot of like Instagram models being made by AI that are being hired by brands and so on. So that actually is something that is happening right now, but I think it has like a really long way that that becomes like the dominant way to create content and be present on social media.
This is gonna be so interesting because like actually we're following people for people, right? At least I do. Like you're following someone for their personality or their worldview or whatever. And like, why would I follow like an AI influencer, like an fabricated person who's spreading stuff for paid dollars, which is like insane to me. Take, what's your take?
I mean, so to a certain extent, the accounts that are like posting and like the people that are now just like writing their entire things with AI and it's not super real, like it bugs me. The ones that like really get under my skin though are the replies that then it's becoming harder to tell if they're just like an AI bot. And that, don't invade my personal space. Don't come into my notifications with slop and then like force me to like analyze whether you're a bot before I decide whether I want to engage with you. Like, oh, it's so annoying. And especially it's really annoying when I want to talk about what they talk about. Like sometimes they'll bring up points that I wish a real human would talk about so that we could have a conversation. But yeah, I don't know how we're gonna solve this. I think one thing that we're gonna have to accept is that this default, anyone has the ability to grab your attention, it's gonna go away. It's just it's been too abused for too long. We've seen Apple start to do this with like notifications, right? You have all these additional controls now that allow you to like not have notifications, have certain notifications at certain times, bypass certain things, right? They've done all this work to so that basically you regain your personal space. I think the rest of the platforms are going to have to do this too, and especially to disincentivize just that incessant posting and replying and bot activity. Because if they don't, then nobody's going to want to go there, right? Like, yeah, when if a big account tags me, like I just don't go on Twitter for that day because it's just like all slop replies and spam and bots and stuff. And there was a while where like nobody even wanted to tweet from like the MetaMask account. It was like we were just pushing out like the most like boring content because it was like every time you did, you had to sit there and block and hide every single reply for like an hour, 2 hours.
What do you mean we can't mention MetaMask on X?
It's like, it's like you want to engage with your people, though. You want to engage with your users. You want to be available. You want to have actual conversations. But if you can't because 100 plus fake support agents are coming in or fake AI reply bots, it's just, you end up not doing it and you lose that interaction, those relationships. And I don't know, that sucks. Like we need to fix that.
Maybe we want to circle back to the call thing one last time because we talked about like fake calls and fake Zooms and don't trust, verify is like a credo we go by in crypto, Tay. And how do we actually verify when we're like voice cloning, deep faking, like even on these calls? Like I think we in a not so far away future we probably have like a version of me, a version of Nikita, a version of you, like trained by data from this call, sitting in a call with someone like pretending to be us, and you can't really tell. Maybe by my German accent that I'm like.
They haven't perfected that yet. Yeah, and I didn't mention the DPRK ones are when you get on the call, you do see the person that you're expecting to talk to. They'll also have like other people in the space, like big fancy CEOs and things. And you're like, it's trying to disarm you. It's trying to make you be like, oh my God, so-and-so, the CEO of so-and-so wants to talk to me. And they got these videos. They're like sort of little loops, like 10, 20-second loops. They get the videos in two ways. The first way is from like public podcasts like this. Like this video might end up like on a freaking DPRK call in the future. That's a risk that I've accepted. The other way is that when they're hacking you, so when you first join the call, they're actually recording that. Like the permissions are actually legitimate. Like they ask for your camera and they record it. So that one is way creepier because it's basically the person like joining the room being confused, their audio isn't working, and then they'll use that loop later. It is incredibly invasive and it's incredibly disarming. And it's very rude. I've told them this. If you ever get another message, tell them to fuck off with this nonsense. Go back to normal hacking. This is so fucking disrespectful and invasive. But we have to go back to, I don't know, you guys, I don't know if you're old enough for this. I'm going to show my age. We have to go back to the freaking 4chan days. Okay. How did people prove their legitimacy? Do you guys know this? The shoe on the fucking head, guys. You have to have the person do a thing right then. You hold up numbers, you write something down, not in a still image. It has to be random, right? That's the shoe on head. Was like one of my entries.
Nikita, where's the fucking flip flop?
Let's go. Yeah, that's how you do it. There we go. See, he's real. Okay,
he's real. Proof of humanity.
You gotta learn from the olden days, guys. We've been doing this for a long time. There were fake girls on 4chan and they had to prove their legitimacy before they got attention. Same thing today in Web3 with the VCs. All right.
Yeah. Nikita, before we close down, I want to ask one question to you related to your business, like Chain Patrol. Are you guys building like for AI generated impersonation at scale? Like you're gonna be facing these issues, like as much as we do that these things will become real, especially for people like us and people on chain. So what you guys are like maybe not doing because you probably will not be giving that away, but how you guys preparing for this?
Yeah, so I mean, like we're already looking for a lot of like impersonation across the internet in terms of things like people's accounts or people's likenesses being taken. There's a lot of, fake Twitter profiles, Telegrams, others where somebody just like uses your profile photo or something similar and will impersonate you. So we already find a lot of those. We run some image recognition. When it's a photo that was directly stolen, it's a little bit easier to find them. If it's just, it's an existing photo of you. Others, they will go and they'll actually generate, kind of custom photos based off of your off of some of the ones that you've had. This is less often, but those are also harder to find. I've seen those rarely used, but they are because of that, they're also trickier to catch. We'll see how much it updates. Honestly, a lot of these scammers, they're still using very simple tactics where it's like literally they just copy paste your profile picture or something similar. in terms of videos, like we're seeing a lot of like more like support videos, not so much specific people being impersonated, but just like a generated video of somebody like walking you through like how to contact support or how to go through and install certain piece of software, and it all looks very legitimate until like, you know, there's one or two steps that guide you to doing something wrong. So there, you know, we're running some analysis to like just determine what are the actual steps. And honestly, most of the time it comes down to extracting like the link or the specific instruction they're trying to give you. That will typically give you all the evidence you need to determine it's malicious. For detecting the deepfakes, that's some, or like, you know, this kind of stuff, something that we're looking into. But again, that would require almost like something. The trickiest part there, I think, is just it would require something to run on the individual's device, basically. Like if you really wanted to solve that problem, it's almost like you'd need something like watching your screen and telling you, hey, this call you're in looks suspicious. But then that opens up a whole load of like privacy issues and new attack vectors. So it's something we're like interested in building out, but we're still solving the how do you do this in like a private, in a privacy preserving way, where it doesn't become more of an issue than the actual thing you're trying to solve.
That's a strong closer, Nikita. That's a strong closer. I got one spicy question left for you guys, and this is just like a one-take line for you. Is there anything that you would delete from the crypto culture if you could today? One sentence only, and then we can call this a wrap tonight.
Stop trying to just extract and steal and get your value and get ahead of other people and beat people up. Like, if you create new value, like the pie grows and it's way better, everyone can win. There is so much value on the table. Everyone can win, but everyone is convinced that they have to like steal from each other, and it's stupid. Stop it.
It's gonna be hard to beat, Nikita.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, that's definitely what I would have said as well. But I think the other part is probably just like FOMO in general. Like, just nothing happens fast. Nothing happens fast. Like the days of the like 8888 collection minting out in like a millisecond, those are done. Nothing really happens within like seconds anymore. There's always a window to whatever you want to do, make the trade, make a claim, anything else. So if you're ever being pressured, and this idea of like jumping into things quickly, it's more likely it's going to lose your funds than you are going to actually make something happen. But yeah, that's it.
Cool, man. How about you?
I would say something more regular. I would say companies can fail, and crypto companies failing are not like a scam directly. So this is a market that is really, really volatile, and companies may shut down, and not for that they are a scam, because there is a lot of people like investing and not being happy with the results in the different token launches right now that they are participating and they're not getting their money back. And that's not a scam by itself. It's like a really volatile market that we are all in, and that we all kind of know the rules of how this works. So of course, make your research, decide, take your time when you are doing an investment, and be at your own risk on that regard.
Okay, today we learned insiders are the new attack vector. And AI is moving faster than any of us can track, probably. Thank you for your time, guys, especially Tay, you being the guest tonight. Thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
I think we're going to do one again, like very soon.
Okay,
the hour was flying by, and Nikita will get some stable Wi-Fi, I guess. But thank you everyone for taking the time. Nikita, Juan, have a great time over there. See you next week. Tay, thank you again, and bye-bye. See you next time.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Hello.